not sure. That's right, yeah. David Gill.
That's
Hey!
right.
Woo! Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? All right. Let me just preface this by saying that I, in the last 6 months, have read 2,500 pages of Phillip K. Dick and taught a class that produced 64 hours of content. And I'm a little mentally unbalanced by the whole project. And I wanted to have fun with you guys today. So this is not an academic lecture. This is not it's somewhere between fun and whatever. You're happy this is not an academic lecture. Good. Somewhere the idea is to have fun. And we're going to talk about boobs and all that stuff. So here we go. Some thoughts after a semester spent dicking around. The total Dickhead's Guide to Phillip K. Dick had over 50 enrolled students. We read 2,500 pages of Phillip K. Dick. Guests included Jonathan Lethem, Umberto Rossi, Eric Davis, Ted Hand, William Cyril, Ted Powers, Peter Fitting, Linda Levy, you name it. It was incredible. Produced 64 hours. I've gone over this already, but 64 hours of content, 1,000 PowerPoint slides. It's available now to purchase through Morbid Anatomy, which is the wonderful online college that hosted me. I'm here to talk first about one thing that was interesting to me in going through Dick's life and work. We did a week on the exegesis, which even though I wrote some footnotes for, I have not read a whole lot of. I'm not a big fan. And so I got really interested in this one aspect of the exegesis, which is this idea that Phil was going to place this message. He's thinking about placing this message in the cultural unconscious. And so this is right after he's declined to write a novelization tie-in to Blade Runner. We also have to I just have to say, this is at a moment of on the verge of his greatest success, monetarily, in terms of stature, and the movie company wants him to shelve Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, write a novelization of the screenplay, and they would then shelve Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. It wouldn't be published. They offered him, I'm going to go forward just a bit here just to show you, that the deal was if Phil agreed to the novelization, he could write it himself for $50,000 advance, which is more advance than he ever got, plus 50% cut of net profits from all print media tie-ins, souvenirs, magazines, posters, comic books, etc. If the film was a smash, which it was looking to be, Phil could stand to earn $250,000 to $400,000, which is $1.3 million in our time today. And he turned that down. And he wrote in his exegesis around that time, "Why am I so joyful? I am celebrating a victory and can now stop work, finally, and relax. Why? Because I did my job and I know it. What was the job? To get the third dispensation in print, and I did so in Androids. I need do nothing else in my life. The Tagore vision, the Godhead expanding into the ecosphere, animal kingdom. Okay, there are other aspects. I didn't sell out to Hollywood, do the novelization or permit the novelization, suppress the original book. And in view of what the film is about, it would have destroyed me for 2 reasons. Not one. A, the Tagore vision in Androids, which, as far as we can tell, is a sensitivity to the environment and a kind of dystopian depiction of the environment in Blade Runner, which was the main thing that Phil saw in those daily screening when he went with Ridley to watch those. So he's got the Tagore visions in Androids, which he thinks is going to make it to the screen on Blade Runner. And then the Heinlein power fantasies in Blade Runner. I have no idea what that's all about. When we use Gabriel's tool to figure out if we can find other aspects of the Heinlein power fantasy, we use that. These are antithetical, and they express the opposing kingdoms, Christ, Androids, and Satan, Blade Runner. Notice this use of the possessive, right? He's talking about an alternate worlds, good and evil, which is really interesting. Look what it would have done to me spiritually and psychologically and politically. My soul is safe, and it was in jeopardy. This is why I see victory despite the vast defeat. So this is something I'd never heard about with the exegesis, that there's this element of what he calls his charisma. This is the Tagore letter, which is something that Philip K. Dick sent to an editor of a magazine, as well as about 80 of his friends. It was written in September 23rd, 1981, about 6 months before he died. And the key nut of the graph is Tagore's charisma, which is the third dispensation following the Mosaic and Christian, is the ecosphere as whole. Must be preserved, protected, venerated, and cherished as a unity. Not the life of individual men or individual animals, but the ecosphere as a single indivisible, unitary whole, a life chain that is being destroyed, and not temporarily, but for all time. And this is nestled in a letter that reads kind of weird. It says, my friend's name is Horse Lover Fat, and he has these visions, and blah, blah, blah. Within that crazy letter, this is some of the sanest shit you're going to see today. And it was written in 1981, way before our ecological concerns of the current day. And so this is what he's imagined. So I want you to understand the sort of scale of his vision, right? That he is like the Mosaic and Christian dispensations of the past, where he's receiving information, a message directly from God, and his job now is to send that out into the world. And that's a big part of the exegesis, and it's a big part of an aggrandized, exaggerated sense of self-importance that Philip K. Dick seemed to have. Okay, he says here, and you can just see how he's working in his mind a way to kind of rationalize his new belief about having put this message in Blade Runner. A strange and mysterious strategy to put the new charisma in the novel published in the late 60s, but then disclosed to me only now, toward the end of 1981. But just at the time that we get the signed contract with the Blade Runner people to re-release the novel in conjunction with the film. As if the Valis trilogy has diverted everyone's attention, my own included. Like when the thought came to me that the true message was in Frozen Journey and not in Valis. The true message is not in Valis, but it is, I now think, in androids, and it will have the greatest circulation, probably, of all. Isn't that convenient? Viewed in terms of God's strategy, Blade Runner has been used as a means to an end. The end being the charisma in androids, which is this message about the environment. Thus, to have suppressed androids and either written or authorized the novelization based on the screenplay would have been to hand over victory to evil. But this did not happen. The fully executed contract between Blade Runner and me regarding the re-release of androids was waiting for me in the post office box on Friday. I asked Powers about this a little bit. He didn't remember Phil talking about the environment in any way. He didn't remember any of this stuff. And from what I got from Powers, this is a lot more intense in terms of its level of involvement and belief on Dick's part than most of what Powers seemed to think Dick was sort of speculating on. Powers' belief is that Dick's speculation is very episodic. It never ends and it's always shifting. There seems to be some places where he really does dig in. He wrote in the Gabriel McKee helped me find this in folder 91. This is unpublished. My God, I'm totally fucked up. I saw the footage from Blade Runner tonight, and the Sufi Dante 3 realm theory is correct. So again, we've got to look up the Dante 3 realm theory. When I saw the Black Iron Prison, AI was remembering hell. I was not in hell. I was remembering having been, but was now in Purgatorio. So this is a little out there. He writes to Greg Rickman, seeing the short clip from Blade Runner, I realized that in my writing I've been saying we are dead and in hell. This is especially true in Ubik, where my message becomes explicit. P.S. It really freaked me out to see that clip of Blade Runner, as you can see by this letter, which is a pretty weird letter. My God, the world I write about is hell, literally. And anyone with sense will recognize it when they see the movie. Trumbull has caught it absolutely. How extraordinary. What genius. What scene, what frame was absolutely in the footage that Phil saw that day with Ridley Scott and Mayor Wilson? This one, right? It's got to be, right? It has to. Clip. Got to be the opening clip, right? And so you can see from this that he's like, oh my God, they've got, and this is sort of what he said, they've got my vision of the world. And that vision of the world included this ecological collapse. There's the message. That's basically it. Okay. So then I was interested because there's a lot of like really weird, explicitly Christian imagery in the movie. So I contacted Paul M. Salmon, the author of Making a Blade Runner Future Noir, asked him about where did these, because if you look in the original scripts, you can't find these written up. So I said, where did they show up? Paul says, White Pigeon was Rutger's idea during the scene shoot. Okay? Not in the script, improvise on the set. Nail through the hand, another during filming idea. Okay? So much was added, dropped, changed during the production. Heads were spinning like over-caffeinated tops, Paul and Sam, with the simile there for the win. Which means Rutger's charisma is it's through salvation in Christ that we become truly human. And that's the message of the imagery that concludes Blade Runner, correct? Phil believed that with Vallis's assistance, he had inserted a crucial salvific message into the mainstream unconscious. The irony, of course, is that Dick was terrified of being manipulated by secret messages in the media that he was consuming. That's a little bit rich, right? Okay, so episode 1, that's the end of this. That's the Blade Runner stuff. Let's move on to boobs. All right, and the fantastic